Blind Willie McTell is considered one of the greatest blues musicians of the early 20th century. Born in the Happy Valley community in Thomson and later moving to Statesboro, McTell's music continues to influence musicians today. Like Bob Dylan said, no one could sing the blues like Blind Willie McTell.
And I would say today, he's probably one of 4 or 5 of the most renowned guitar players of that genre of music.
William Samuel McTeer, or Blind Willie McTell, was born sometime between 1898 and 1903. He was born blind, though it's unclear if he was fully blind or if he completely lost his sight a little later in childhood. McTell was born into a family of musicians. Don Powers, chairman of the Activities Council in Thomson, says he learned to play the guitar as a teenager, later teaching himself to play his signature instrument, the 12-string guitar. After the death of his mother, he left his hometown to become a traveling street musician, playing a unique mix of country blues, ragtime, gospel, and popular music.
Calling him a blues player really is kind of a misnomer. He was a street musician, basically. And so anything that would make money drop into his cup while he was playing on the street is what he played.
Broke down and mama ain't got no driving wheel. Lord have mercy.
McTell was known for his clear, soulful tenor voice and intricate guitar-picking style. He began recording his music in Atlanta in 1927 for Victor Records. Like many blues players of that era, he never produced a hit record during his life, but that was likely because of the social climate of the time.
Little Jesse was a gambler, night and day. He used crooked cards and dice.
They probably made a living, but I don't think that they achieved big success, probably because of the fact that they were African American. I mean, you think about one of the most successful country musicians ever. The father of country music was Jimmy Rogers. He was from Meridian, Mississippi. He was no different than any guy at that time. He just happened to be a white guy who sang blues music.
McTell married Ruth Kate Williams in 1934. She recorded a few songs with him before becoming a nurse and working at Fort Gordon while McTell traveled with his music. Lewis Smith, former director at the McDuffie Museum, says McTell's ability to travel alone all over the eastern seaboard to play, even though he was blind, was remarkable.
He could go to Atlanta downtown by himself. He didn't need a dog, he didn't need a helper. He knew every bus stop. He knew exactly where he had to transfer. The only thing he couldn't do is if a bus came and he heard it and somebody was there, he would say, "What number is that?" He knew which bus number to get on, and he had to transfer like 3 times.
In 1957, until he died in 1959, McTell was a preacher at Mount Zion Baptist Church in Atlanta. He died from a stroke in Milledgeville. McTell is buried in the cemetery at Jones Grove Church in Happy Valley.
And this is Blind Willie's tombstone. And he was buried with this. And Eddie McTeer is Blind Willie's daddy. And the guy that ordered this tombstone over the phone to Atlanta was named Bo-Rat McTeer. It's Blind Willie's first cousin. And they got it mixed up. So David Fulmer, a music producer and author from Atlanta, said that Blind Willie deserved better than this. So he had a beautiful blue marble tombstone made.
People go to the cemetery often to pay homage to Blind Willie, leaving behind tokens. Some leave coins as a nod to his career as a street performer, and others leave alcohol containers. Elizabeth Vance, McDuffie County Tourism Director, helps organize the annual Blind Willie McTell Music Festival. She says she finds his influence over modern performers and music lovers very interesting.
To have become so revered by mainstream guitar players, even in the documentary about him by David Fulmer, it's said that he is considered now the Eric Clapton of his time.
While you may never have heard of Blind Willie McTell, you have likely heard of some artists whose music he influenced. Jack White of the White Stripes dedicated an album to him and covered a song. Bob Dylan wrote the song Blind Willie McTell about him, and a Southern rock band made one of his songs famous.
His most famous song is probably the Statesboro Blues, and we around Thomson choked that down. It was later recorded by a blues musician called whose name is Taj Mahal, who's still out there playing today. And most famous version of it was the Allman Brothers.
Blind Willie McTell Music Festival is now in its 28th year, and McTell remains the central theme.
So, I mean, obviously, we think that Blind Willie is an important part of our history, or else we wouldn't be doing, those things.
Hey, Thomson, that's just part of your hometown history.